Hi children.
Bounces of various objects around us to reach our eyes, thus enabling us to see all those objects. Now take a scenario here. What if a person enters a darkened room? They won't be able to see anything which is there in the room, right? Why does this happen? Well, there's no light in the room that can bounce off the objects in the room to reach the person's eye. Now suppose if the person switches on the bulb. Now the light which is coming from the bulb reaches all the objects in the room and bounces off the surface of all these objects to reach the person's eyes, thus enabling him to see all the objects in the room. But there is one important thing that we have overlooked here, that we have taken for granted without actually trying to understand it properly. How do our eyes enable us to see these objects? What is it that goes on within our eyes that helps us see all the objects which are around us? These are the questions that we'll answer in this particular topic.
In previous topic, we discussed refraction of light at curved surfaces. In that lesson, we discussed different types of lenses, convex lens and concave lens. In convex lens, the image formation depending on object in front of the convex lens, and we discussed in previous classes. In 8th class, we discussed in biology what is the working of eye. What is the working of eye? The main principle of working of eye is sensation of vision. Sensation of vision. And how the objects are appears to us. How the objects are appears to us means when an object is kept in a room and a light falls on that, the light scattered takes place. The scattering of light, when it scattering of light reaches to your eye, automatically you are getting a sensation of sight. Now then only you are able to see the objects. In this session, we are going to learn human eye and colorful world. In this lesson, we are going to learn the objectives are the least distance of distinct vision, angle of vision, structure of human eye, defects of vision, prism, lab activity on prism, how to find the refractive index of prism, derivation of refractive index of a prism, dispersion of light and scattering of light, rainbow formation. We have to learn a activity on scattering of light. In this topic today, in this session, we are going to learn only prism. In this prism, what is the prism? What is the prism? And second one is lab activity on prism. Third one is refraction on prism. Fourth one is lab activity on prism. Fifth one is how to find refractive index of the prism. Sixth one is derivation of refractive index of the prism. In this class, we are going to learn.
It's correct definition. So let's erase this and start with the definition of a prism. It's a three-dimensional shape that has identical parallel ends and all flat faces. Well, it's the most confusing definition ever. Identical, parallel, flat, there are just too many things. So forget the definition for now. Let's just look at figures and understand prisms. Look at this three-dimensional figure. The most important thing in topic of three-dimensional shapes is visualizing the shapes. Few of the lines are dotted because those are the lines that cannot be seen from this view. Look at the ends of this figure. It's a long figure with two ends. Now let me color the two ends for you. This figure has two triangles at its ends. And it has three rectangles as faces. This one in the front, one at the back, and one at the bottom. Now we look at the definition. It says that the ends are identical and parallel. They are identical since both are triangles, and both the triangles are parallel to each other. The definition also says that all its faces should be flat. And in this figure, all faces are flat. They are rectangles. This, by the way, is called a triangular prism. Here's another three-dimensional shape. Let me color its ends. We can see that it has two rectangles as ends, and they are also parallel to each other. And it has four rectangles as faces. One on the right-hand side, one on the left-hand side, one at the top, and one at the bottom. So all its faces are flat. This is called a rectangular prism. So if you noticed, the prisms are defined by its ends. Triangles as its ends, triangular prism. Rectangles at its ends, rectangular prism. Look at the rectangular prism. Does this shape remind you of another three-dimensional shape? Yes, a rectangular prism is also a cuboid. Now let's look at a few figures and understand if they are prisms or not. Remember the definition: identical parallel ends and all flat surfaces. Here's the first figure. It's a part of a pipe. Both the ends are circles and are parallel to each other. It means that this figure has identical parallel ends. This figure has identical parallel ends but has a curved surface. Hence, it's not a prism. I want to emphasize there are only two things that make a three-dimensional shape a prism: identical and parallel ends, and all its faces flat. Here, the ends are flat, but the surface is curved, so it's not a prism. Here's another figure. First, we look at the ends. Both are triangles, and hence we can say that this figure has identical ends. But wait, they are not parallel. The upper triangle is slightly tilted. So this figure as well is not a prism. Now assume we have a plane with a rectangle on it. If we project the rectangle upwards, equally from all sides, we get a prism. In this figure, we have projected all the sides to the same height. But what if we do not project all the sides to equal heights? If we do not project it equally, like in this figure, we do not get a prism. This is not a prism as its ends are not parallel.
Now we are going to learn what is a prism and what are the related terms belongs to prism. Now what is the prism? Prism is a transparent material. It's separated from its surrounding medium by at least two plane surfaces inclined each other. Here, this is the prism. In this prism, the prism contains two triangle shaped bases and 1, 2, 3 rectangular shaped surfaces are present. This is the cross section of the prism. Here, when we observe from this side, the prism appears like this. So the prism appears to us, it is a equilateral triangle. Here when we observe here, this is a P, this is the Q, and this is the R. PQR triangle we observe. PQ and PR, these two are said to be refracted surfaces. So here the first definition is, the first related term which belongs to prism is angle of prism. What is the angle of prism? The angle between two refracted surfaces is called angle of prism. It is represented by A. Angle of incidence. What is the angle of incidence? Here I am taking, this is the surface of this is the one surface, refracted surface, this is another refracted surface. When a light incident on refracted surface, this ray is said to be incident ray. here I draw one normal to the PQ surface. The angle made by the incident ray with a normal is said to be angle of incidence. This is the incident ray. The angle made by the incident ray with a normal is called angle of incidence. What is the angle of emergence? When a light ray enters into the prism, a refraction takes place. The light traveling from one medium to another medium, rarer to denser, so automatically refraction takes place. This is said to be refractor ray. This refractor ray acts as a incident ray to the second surface. Here also, I draw a normal at a yan. Let me take this point is yan. Here this ray is said to be emergent ray. The ray which is coming from the prism is said to be emergent ray. The ray which is coming from the prism is said to be emergent ray. What is the angle of emergence means? The angle made by the normal with the emergent ray is called angle of emergence. What is the angle of deviation? This is the incident ray. If the prism is absent, the light ray travels in a straight path. If the prism is present, the light ray takes this much of deviation. This much of deviation. So now I am going to extend this incident ray and emergent ray. These two are intersecting here. The angle made by the incident ray, extended incident ray and extended emergent ray is said to be angle of deviation. Angle of deviation. This is the angle of incidence. This is the angle of emergence. Let me consider that point is that angle is I1. That angle is I2. This is the refractor ray. This is the angle of refraction. That is the R1. This refractor acts as a incident to the second surface. Incident ray to the second surface. So this is the angle of incidence to the second surface. This is the emergent ray. Now the next topic is lab activity. How to find refractive index of prism. This lab activity I will explain through one video.
Let us do a lab activity on refractive index of the prism. Click each tab to learn more. The aim is finding the refractive index of the prism. Materials required are prism, wooden plank, white chart, pencils, pins, protractor and a scale. Take a wooden plank which is enveloped by a white chart. Take a prism. Place it on the white chart. Take a pencil and draw a border line along the edges of the prism. Remove the prism from the chart paper. Now we obtain a triangle. Mark the vertices of the triangle shape as P, Q and R. The refracting surfaces could be rectangular in shape. Measure the angle between PR and PQ. The obtained angle is called the angle of the prism A. Now mark a point M on the PQ surface of prism. Draw a perpendicular line to the surface PQ. Place the protractor origin at point M along the normal line. Make an angle of 30 degrees, then draw a line up to the point M and also draw a small arrow on it. This line represents the incident ray. Hence, the angle between incident ray and normal line is called angle of incidence I1. Once again, place the prism on the boundary PQR. Now take two pins and pin them on the vertical line at some points, say A and B, which are already drawn. Looking to the other side, fix two more points at some points, say C and D, in such a way that all the four pins appear to be in same line. Remove the prism and also pins and mark their positions. Draw a line to join the points C and D. Extend the line to meet the surface PR of the prism at point N. This line denotes the emergent ray. Draw a perpendicular line to the surface PR which acts as normal line. The angle between the normal line at point N and the emergent ray is called the angle of emergence I2. Find this angle and note it down in a table. Now join the points M and N by a straight line. Thus the line passes through the points A, B, M, N, C and D. This line denotes the path of light when it suffers refraction through prism. Extend both incident and emergent rays until they meet at a point, say O. Here the angle between these two rays called angle of deviation D. Find this angle and note it down in a table. Repeat the same procedure for different incident angles such as 40 degrees, 50 degrees, etc. Find the corresponding angles of deviation and angles of emergence and note them in the table. Draw graph by taking angle of incidence along x-axis and angle of deviation along y-axis. From the graph, we observe that the angle of deviation decreases initially and then increases with increase of the angle of incidence. The tangent to the curve at the lowest point of the graph and parallel to the x-axis cuts the y-axis at a certain point. This point is called angle of minimum deviation, denoted by D.
Now we are going to discuss derivation of refracting index of the prism. The refracting index of the prism n equal to sine of a plus d by 2 by sine of a by 2. So this is the cross section of the prism. So let me take this point is this surface PQ is the refracted surface and PR is the another refracted surface, and this is angle of prism. This angle of prism, let me take, that is the A. This is angle of prism. So here I am going to draw a normal to the PQ refracted surface, that is the normal. Here also I am going to draw a normal to the PR refracted surface. This is the incident ray. This incident ray makes some angle with the normal, that is called angle of incidence. Let me consider that is the I1. And here when the light ray traveling from radar to tensor bends towards the normal, so that's why this is the refracted ray. The angle made by the refracted ray with the normal is called angle of refraction. Let me consider that is R1. Let me take that is R1, and here this is R2. This refractor acts as incident to the second refracted surface, that is the angle made by this ray with the normal is called, let me take that is R2, and here the light ray traveling from prism to air. So that is this ray is called emergent ray. This ray is called emergent ray. This is normal. The angle made by the emergent ray with the normal is called angle of emergence. Let me take that is I2. So now we are going to extend. This is the extended emergent ray. This is extended incident ray. These two are intersecting here. This angle is said to be angle of deviation. Angle of deviation. So how can you derive this equation? How can you derive? First I am taking this triangle, this dotted triangle. This is the this is angle of deviation, and here this angle is, these two are vertical opposite angles. This angle I1 means this total angle is I1. So this angle becomes I1 minus R1. I1 minus R1. Here also these two angles are vertical opposite angles. So these two are equal. So that's why this angle becomes I2 minus R2. In a triangle, we know that exterior angle is equal to the sum of opposite interior angle. So D equal to, we can write here I1 minus R1 plus I2 minus R2. So now I am going to write D equal to I1 plus I2 minus of R1 plus R2. This is equation number 1. This is equation number 1. Now I am taking triangle, one triangle, that is the P. This is the, let's take this point is M, this point is N, P, M, N. Now I am going to take triangle P, M, N. From this triangle P, M, N, here I separate this triangle from this prism. This is the triangle P, M, N. This is the, here the total angle is 90 degrees. Here the total angle is 90 degrees. So in this triangle P, M, N, in a triangle we know that the sum of three angles is equal to 180 degrees. So here I am taking angle A plus this angle plus this angle. This total angle is 90 degrees, and this angle is R1, means this angle becomes 90 minus R1. Why? Because this angle is R1. So 90 minus R1. Here this is the R2. This angle becomes 90 minus R2. In this triangle, the sum of three angles, angle A plus 90 minus R1 plus 90 minus R2, that equal to 180 degrees. So here 90 plus 90, 180, angle A plus 180 minus R1 plus R2, that equal to 180 degrees. This 180 get cancelled. Then angle A plus angle A minus of R1 plus R2, that equal to 0. Then A equal to, this term take aside, R1 plus R2. This is equation number 2. Here in a lab activity we observe that we are taking I values on x-axis, d values on y-axis. Then in this plotting of graph we are getting a parabolic curve. Here this is the minimum angle of deviation. At the minimum angle of deviation, I1 equal to I2, R1 equal to R2. This is the condition. So I am going to write here, this is the first equation, this is the second equation. That first equation becomes D equal to I1 plus I1 also, that is equal to I2. So I1 plus I1 minus of R1 plus R2. So D equal to I1 plus I1 means 2I1 minus R1 plus R2 means, from this equation number 2 we can write A. So this A plus D, that equal to 2I1, then I1 equal to A plus D by 2. The second equation becomes A equal to R1 plus, at the minimum angle of deviation, R1 equal to R2, then R1 plus R2, that equal to 2R1. So R1 becomes R1 equal to A by 2. Now at point M, I am applying Snell's law. Because of here the light traveling from one medium to another medium. This is a separating media, boundary separating two media. This is the light traveling from one medium to another medium. Here the light traveling from A to prism. So let me consider the refractive index of the prism is, N2 equal to N. Refractive index of air equal to 1. Refractive index of air is 1. I am going to apply Snell's law at point M. Apply Snell's law at point M. At M, apply Snell's law. Then at M, Snell's law. When we apply Snell's law, what is the Snell's law? N1 sin I that equal to N2 sin R. This is a Snell's law. So I apply Snell's law here. N1 means 1. So N1 means N1. I am going to write as it is same. Sin I. I means I1. N1 that equal to N2. N2 means N into R2 means R means sin R1. Then N1 means N1, the refractive index of air is 1. So 1 into sin I1 that equal to N into sin R1. Then N equal to, we can write sin I1 by sin R1. So already we got what is the I1, what is the R1. So these values substitute in this. Then sin of, what is the I1? I1 means A plus D by 2 by, what is the R1? Sin of R1 means A by 2. So finally, the refractive index of the prism is, the refractive index of the prism is N equal to sin A plus D by 2 by sin A by 2. In this formula, A means angle of prism, D means angle of deviation. Here N means refractive index of the prism. Recapitulation. Today we discussed prism. Second one is the related terms which are belongs to prism, that is angle of incidence, angle of emergence, and third one angle of deviation, and fourth one angle of minimum deviation, and lab activity on prism. What is the how to make what is the prism already we discussed. So these all things, and derivation of refractive index of prism, how to derive this equation sin A plus D by 2 by sin A by 2, derivation of refractive index of prism. So these all we discussed today.